Hi everyone, welcome to TGIF, and today is an important day for us as we celebrate 100th episode. Yes, TGIF turns 100 and a very special guest joining me today for a short conversation. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome and host Anant Maheshwari, President Microsoft India, for a short conversation.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. It is awesome to be here at TGIF.
Wonderful. Anand, thank you so much once again. Quick question to you. You meet chief executives and global leaders on a regular basis. Now, we're witnessing digital optimism across the board. So, can you share a bit of themes you're witnessing in the industry as you met them in terms of how they're approaching this transformation?
So I guess the common thread, whether I'm meeting a banker or a manufacturing leader or a tech industry leader or even in the government or the public sector, and of course all the digital natives and the startups, do more with less. Everybody is trying to optimize, everybody is trying to manage in the constraints that they have in the operating envelope that they work with. And at the same time, I think Satya has laid it out, and something that I hear from every chief executive, that technology is a significant deflationary force in an inflationary environment. So therefore, everybody is even more interested to have these conversations with me and the Microsoft team in really doing more with less. The second thematic that I hear everywhere is that hybrid work is a reality, with a lot of focus on secure operating environment and communication environments, irrespective of the location of work, and therefore it is still something which is continuing to evolve. And third, I think security and cyber risk is top of mind for everyone. Just one factoid: we released a threat intelligence report recently. These days, on a daily basis, we are synthesizing and analyzing 43 trillion signals a day. Now, just that number, just a couple of years back, I remember saying 8 trillion signals a day, which basically means there's a lot more digital activity, and that is expanding very, very rapidly. Now, that is a lot of opportunity for every chief executive, but that's also risk for every chief executive. It's a conversation at every board of a company where they're saying, how do we manage the cyber risk, and therefore, how do we work in a trusted technology environment? So these three, Sandeep, are the key thematics.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anand. I think zero trust is a thematic in the industry we're seeing all across. So moving on, Anand, a personal question to you. So there's so much happening in the world of tech. It's difficult to keep pace with the technology innovation. So how do you as an individual stay abreast with latest innovations?
Oh, so it's tough. I always feel, I can do so much more because I feel there's so much that is happening around us. Now, three things that I do typically. One is just read or even get snippets of every new thing that is happening, whichever I can come across. Therefore, I read a lot of newsletters, I read a lot of media, I read a lot of stuff that is being written in the industry. A lot of it happens on flights because that's when I get my real downtime, and therefore I save them up. Even if it's a podcast, I would typically listen there. Second, I think Sandeep, I have to thank you and many of the other leaders at Microsoft who keep bringing some of these innovations in a capsule format to some of us amongst the leadership community, and therefore help us understand this a lot better. But third, I would say it's really learning in the moment. Because that is where I find those learnings stay with me, because they're happening in very specific real-time situations. Whenever customers pose the most challenging problems and questions at us, and how our teams come up with those phenomenal solutions and answers, I look at that and say, wow, this is the best place to learn in terms of how you can really advance technology. So those are the three places.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And in fact, when a conference like Build and Ignite happens, we feel outdated overnight. So we've got a lot to catch up. So moving on, Anand, this is something which is very personal to me. When I look at Satya, I see a developer in him every single time we hear him do an announcement. So my question to you is, for technical leaders to thrive in the modern world, is there need for them to operate with a developer mindset?
Developer mindset is very interesting that you use that particular term, because frankly speaking, I think growth mindset is what I think about every time. But if I make the connection, I would say the developer mindset is a subset of the growth mindset and therefore very, very critical? And my short answer therefore would be yes. And the developer mindset inside there really allows you to have an agile process to implement and put into practice all the learnings that you're getting. I guess that's a straight learning from DevOps.
Perfect. I think optimization is the name of the game, and this absolutely helps Anand. Moving on, I think a lot of audience Anand are technical leaders. Now, so much of tech is happening, and for one to pretty much prepare for the next phase of evolution in the industry, how should one prepare?
Okay, so I don't think I want to get into a very esoteric sort of example or even a learning here. Let me just go and reflect back on something that happened to me. Cool. And that might give you the idea of how I think about it. Just as I joined Microsoft a few years back, I was new to the industry. I didn't really know that much around the cloud and the evolution that was happening. And I was sitting in front of the chief executive of a bank who was passionately talking about his vision of creating a paperless bank and how he wanted Microsoft to help him get that done. And as he was speaking about his vision and what he wanted to get done, I was just scribbling hard on my notebook because that's what I'd done for the last 40 years in all of my education and work. Now, once that moment happened and I had read it again, he wants a paperless bank. I just realized, the world had changed. I had to change with my habits of 40 years. Just on that particular day, I took out 3 notebooks and some 8 or 9 pens, wow, different color pens that I used to carry in my bag all the time so that I'm never short of a paper or a pen. Right. And I just said, I'm never going to carry paper and pen around me because that will force me to evolve. Right. Into the new world, and OneNote became my friend. Wow. And it's the best friend that I have in terms of productivity at work today because I started taking all my notes on OneNote. Yeah. Now, I did not intend this, but it happened because my team actually liked it even more. They kind of now never had to wonder what is he scribbling in his notebook. We never get to see it. Now they have full access to my OneNote, and therefore a lot of what I write down in these meetings then gets into action and converts thought into action. So I said, this is actually good. I should do this to myself every year. So I make a new resolution every year that I'll take one of my habits and change it into the new digital world. And that will be my advice to everyone as you are growing in the industry.
Perfect. Anand, on that note, you said one every year. What's for this year?
Oh, okay. So this year, when we started, I said, okay, Viva Analytics and Viva Insights is so important because it's a blind spot. I don't know how I work with everyone. Who am I sending more messages to? Who am I not talking to enough? And I think it gives me the analytics and insights of how I can be more effective at work. And therefore, I now use it big time in getting better because it's just a blind spot.
Wonderful. I think that's a great learning for us. One new, I would say, adoption of tech, which will make us better. So quickly, last question, and I would love for you to wrap up as well after that. Ignite conference happened a few weeks back, and Satya did announce a ton of cool tech. I've asked this question a lot of customers also. So I want to ask you, what was your favorite announcement from Ignite announcements?
So I'm going to make it a little bit more human because I think fundamentally we've lived through the last 2 years, which has completely transformed and changed humanity in a different way to work. It has taught us that you will have to think about it differently, and therefore all of our innovation and technology during this time has changed. So 2 announcements that really stood out for me. One was Microsoft Places, which converts spaces into places in the modern hybrid work. And it also speaks of inclusion. Because it truly brings in different kinds of people in different environments to be on a similar plane. So that's one, I think, that is very important, and as it keeps going forward, there'll be more and more innovation on that. And the second, I think, was the mesh avatars in Microsoft Teams. To me, that's the real metaverse that a lot of us will experience. And therefore, how we work with that in the future is going to make an impact on each one of us individually. And I know some of you may be disappointed because I didn't speak about the specific cool tech that you liked, but I am a big student of how people work with each other, and therefore I thought these two are going to change how all of us work with each other. So in general, I think I was excited about all the announcements at Ignite for Microsoft, but what really stood out for me is that we have a common thematic of what tech should do versus what tech can do. So if I go back to the previous question, which I did not completely answer, and therefore let me bring that in, I truly believe that every technology leader and developer should think about what tech should do and not just about what tech can do, because trusted tech is very, very important. People will only use the technology that they trust. So keep driving trusted tech. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful, and thank you so much. Again, the clear message for all of us, look at what tech should do. With that, Anand, thanks once again. And for all viewers, thanks for joining us today. Have a wonderful Friday. Keep watching TGIF and have a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.